There's a difference between a man who's interested and a man who's invested. You might have had moments where things started great, he texted often, wanted to see you, made big promises, but somewhere along the line his energy shifted, he pulled back. You felt confused, maybe even blamed yourself. But what if I told you that keeping a man interested isn't about constantly giving more of yourself, but about giving the right things in the right way? Another kind of addiction, the healthy kind, happens when someone experiences something they can't find anywhere else. It's not about controlling someone's feelings or playing games to stay on their mind. It's about creating a connection so rare, so emotionally fulfilling, that being around you becomes his emotional home. This speech will break down what exactly makes a man feel that rare magnetic pull toward a woman, the kind that makes him not just want you, but feel like he can't stop thinking about you. If you've ever felt unsure about what makes a man stay emotionally hooked, or if you're tired of short-lived sparks that fade out too quickly, this will give you the blueprint. Let's dive into the mindset and behavior that makes a man say, "She's unlike anyone I've ever met, and I can't get enough of her." When a man feels emotionally safe with you, it changes everything. It's not the physical attraction that keeps him coming back. That might ignite the spark, but emotional safety is what makes the flame last. Emotional safety means he can show up as himself. Not the perfect version of himself. Not the performance he gives to the world, but the real him. It's the kind of safety where he doesn't feel like he's being constantly evaluated, criticized, or measured. Instead, he feels accepted, seen, and supported. Most people don't realize this, but men are far more sensitive to judgment than they let on. Society often teaches them to be tough, to hide their insecurities, to perform. But when they're with someone who makes them feel like they don't need to perform, it's incredibly rare and therefore deeply addictive. If every time he opens up, you respond with validation instead of correction, or curiosity instead of control, you're creating a safe emotional space. And that space becomes a sanctuary for him. But emotional safety isn't about agreeing with everything he says or hiding your feelings to keep the peace. It's about how you communicate your truth without tearing him down. For example, instead of saying, "You never make time for me," try saying, "I miss you when we don't connect." It's a shift from blame to vulnerability. That shift makes it easier for him to hear you, to want to meet your needs, and to feel closer instead of pushed away. Think about the people you feel safest with. You're not afraid to share your messy moments with them. You don't have to hide your bad days or pretend you've got it all together. You know they won't use your vulnerability against you. That's what men crave too, even if they don't say it. Especially when they're dating. The moment they feel like their emotions are going to be weaponized or dismissed, they begin to retreat. They start protecting themselves. They stop bringing their full self to the relationship. When a man feels emotionally safe with you, he doesn't just want to be around you, he wants to open up to you. That's the real addiction. Not your appearance, not how amazing you are at texting back, not how fun your dates are, but the deep emotional access you give him. That space where he can admit his fears, his dreams, and even his confusion, and you hold that space with grace rather than panic. Too often, relationships become power struggles. Who cares more? Who's more invested? Who's in control? But those dynamics destroy emotional safety because they create tension. They make love feel conditional. And that's when people start playing games. Emotional safety, on the other hand, removes the scoreboard. It says, we're in this together. And when a man feels that, he doesn't want to lose it. You might wonder, how do I create that space without losing myself? Emotional safety doesn't mean abandoning your standards or excusing bad behavior. In fact, it requires strong boundaries, but boundaries don't have to come with bitterness. You can say no with warmth. You can express disappointment without shaming. You can speak your truth with kindness. That's the difference between being intimidating and being inspiring. When you hold yourself to that level of emotional intelligence, it earns his respect and, more importantly, his trust. Now, trust doesn't come instantly. It's built in the small moments. When you listen instead of interrupting, when you ask what he needs instead of assuming, when you let him speak his truth without rushing in to fix or change it. These tiny acts tell him, over time, it's safe to be myself with her. And the more he believes that, the more he opens up. And the more he opens up, the deeper the bond becomes. This is the emotional glue that makes him stay. Not out of obligation, but desire. And here's the most powerful part. Once a man feels emotional safety with you, he will protect it. He'll start showing up more consistently. He'll be more emotionally available. He'll care about how you feel, because that connection becomes sacred to him, not because you demanded it, but because it feels too rare and valuable to risk losing. The mistake people make is thinking they need to constantly impress someone to be loved, to perform, to win them over. But what makes a man truly addicted isn't how much you do, it's how you make him feel. And emotional safety makes him feel like he's enough, even when he's not perfect. It makes him feel like love doesn't have to be exhausting or dramatic, that it can be honest, calm, deep, and still passionate. So if you want a man to stay, to open up, to invest, don't try to convince him. Create the kind of space where he can feel safe. Not safe in the boring way, safe in the real way, the way that tells him, with her, I don't have to pretend. I don't have to guard myself. I get to be me, and I like who I am around her. That is what makes him addicted. That is what makes you unforgettable. Not because you tried harder, but because you understood what he didn't even know he needed. Emotional safety isn't just rare, it's magnetic. It's the foundation of love that lasts. And when you give him that in the right way without losing yourself, you earn his soul. Mystery doesn't mean disappearing, playing games, or acting like you. That's not real mystery, that's emotional immaturity. True mystery is depth. It's when a man feels like he knows you, yet there's always something new to discover. It's when he can't predict what will inspire you next, what passion you'll follow tomorrow, or what thought will come out of your mouth that makes him pause and see the world differently. It's not about being hard to get, it's about being impossible to replace. Most people confuse mystery with distance. They think if they hold back, respond less, show less interest, that will make them more desirable. But that doesn't create attraction, it creates confusion. Men aren't drawn to coldness, they're drawn to warmth with layers. They want to know there's more to you than what they've already seen. They want to feel that you're full of energy, life, and stories that haven't all been told yet. Think about the people you admire the most. Not the ones who are always unavailable, but the ones who are consistently growing, changing, evolving. Those are the people who keep you intrigued. Why? Because they're not stuck in one version of themselves. They're curious. They're passionate. They don't need someone else to make their life feel full. They already have a full life. And a relationship becomes the bonus, not the center. That's what mystery really is. When a man sees that your world doesn't shrink to revolve around him, he pays more attention, not because you're trying to prove a point, but because he realizes you're not waiting around to be chosen. You've already chosen yourself. And that energy, that's magnetic. You're not trying to make him chase you. You're living in such a way that he wants to follow, not because he has to, but because there's something exciting about being close to someone with purpose. Mystery lies in your ability to surprise him, not with tricks, but with truth. It's how you can talk about deep things without turning every conversation into an interrogation. It's how you share a moment of joy, then go back to your goals with focus. It's how you can be soft and romantic one day and fiercely committed to your passions the next. That contrast, that emotional texture is what keeps him drawn to you. Men want to feel amazed by the woman they're with, not because she's showing off, but because she lives in alignment with who she is. She's not chasing validation, she's creating her own momentum. When you have dreams, when you take care of yourself, when you're emotionally intelligent but also bold enough to take risks, that creates an atmosphere of intrigue. And not in a way that makes him feel distant from you, but in a way that makes him feel like he wants to keep discovering you. And here's the important part. You don't have to be perfect to be mysterious. You just have to be real. Real with emotion, real with vision, real with the things that light you up. When you're honest about your struggles, your growth, and your desires, but you're not defined by them, that's where depth is built. A man becomes addicted not to someone who hides everything, but to someone who reveals just enough while still keeping the journey unfolding. Mystery also means having boundaries, not because you're trying to manipulate, but because you respect your own energy. You don't give all of yourself away immediately. You let things build. You don't rush connection. You give it time to breathe. That patience, that self-betrayal is captivating because most people are impatient. Most people give too much too soon and then feel disappointed when it doesn't last. But the woman who paces the connection, who lets intimacy grow naturally, gives the relationship a chance to root itself. And a man feels that difference. This doesn't mean you hide who you are or play coy. It means you bring your full self to the table. But you don't force feed it. You don't overshare to fill silence. You don't over-explain to justify your value. You let your presence speak. You let your energy create the impression. And you let your actions show who you are, not your words alone. So when a man feels like there's always something new to discover with you, your thoughts, your creativity, your emotional range, he stays curious. And curiosity is one of the most powerful fuels for desire. If he always knows what you're going to say, how you're going to react, what you're going to do next, he mentally checks out. Not because you're not amazing, but because familiarity without evolution becomes dull. But when you keep growing, keep learning, keep exploring life, he feels like being with you is an adventure. And that's what keeps him coming back. Not tension, not fear, not hot and cold behavior, but the feeling that being near you means growing, evolving, being stretched in new ways. The feeling that you won't be the same woman tomorrow that you are today, not because you're inconsistent, but because you're expanding. So if you want to be unforgettable, if you want him to feel that deep, undeniable pull towards you, don't be distant, be deep. Don't be hard to get, be hard to replace. Build a life that's rich with meaning. Follow the things that light you up. Share from a place of truth, not fear. Let him see you, but not all at once. Let connection build like a good story, chapter by chapter, moment by moment. That's real mystery. That's what keeps a man addicted, not because you've hidden who you are, but because who you are is always unfolding, and he wants to be there to see what's next. There's a powerful balance that becomes magnetic in a woman. High standards with softness. It's not just about being confident or knowing what you want. It's about how you hold that confidence. Too often, people confuse strength with hardness, thinking that having standards means putting up walls, being guarded, or showing zero tolerance. But true strength lies in your ability to uphold your value while remaining warm, open, and kind. That's what makes you unforgettable. It's not that you don't care, it's that you care about yourself enough not to settle, and you care about others enough to still treat them with grace. A woman with high standards doesn't just demand respect, she inspires it, because she carries herself in a way that says, I know my worth, and I won't compromise it for temporary attention. But she doesn't need to announce it loudly. She doesn't need to prove it in every conversation. It's in her energy. It's in the way she doesn't chase, the way she doesn't beg, the way she walks away when something doesn't feel right. And yet she does all of that without resentment, without drama, and without trying to make someone feel small. That's softness. This is the combination that drives men crazy in the best way. Because most people expect either / or. Either you're strong but cold, or you're sweet but a pushover. But when you show both, when you speak up with kindness, when you set boundaries without attitude, when you say no with compassion, he sees something rare. He sees someone who can love deeply, but not at the cost of her self-respect. And that makes him lean in, not because you're controlling the dynamic, but because your energy is so grounded and attractive, he doesn't want to lose it. Having high standards isn't about having a checklist or being overly picky. It's about clarity. It's about knowing the kind of connection you're looking for and not entertaining what doesn't align. It's about being honest with yourself. Does this person bring peace into my life or chaos? Do they support my growth or slow me down? Do they speak to the best in me or bring out my insecurity? A woman who checks in with herself regularly doesn't wait until a man defines the relationship. She defines it within herself first, and then she shows up accordingly. But she doesn't weaponize her standards. She doesn't use them to make someone feel inadequate. She gives people the space to rise, but she doesn't shrink just to make them comfortable. When something bothers her, she brings it up with clarity, not emotional outbursts. When she's disappointed, she communicates without passive aggression. She knows that strength isn't in silence or detachment. It's in expressing herself in a way that still makes someone feel respected. Softness is often misunderstood. People think it means weakness, but it's actually emotional intelligence. It's knowing that being kind doesn't mean tolerating nonsense. It's knowing that love can be fierce and gentle at the same time. And men feel that when you show that you're not afraid to walk away, but you'd still rather stay and build something beautiful. That's when he feels both challenged and safe. And that combination is rare. When a man meets a woman like that, he doesn't just admire her. He starts to reevaluate how he's showing up because he senses that she won't accept breadcrumbs, but she'll celebrate real effort. She's not sitting around hoping he gets it right. She's showing up fully and inviting him to do the same. And when he does, she welcomes him with genuine affection. That's what softness looks like. It's not passive, it's powerful. It says, if you show up right, I'll meet you there with my full heart. There's nothing more addictive to a man than a woman who makes him feel both seen and challenged. A woman who smiles with sincerity but speaks her truth without fear. A woman who loves deeply but won't lose herself in the process. She's the one who won't tolerate mixed signals, not because she's playing games, but because she values clarity. She's the one who won't chase, not because she's trying to prove anything, but because she respects and at the same time, she's the one who listens with empathy, laughs with her whole soul, and gives love without keeping score. That's the kind of woman who changes a man. Not by force, but by presence. Not by demanding loyalty, but by embodying it. Not by pushing him, but by inspiring him to rise. Because when she chooses him, he knows it's not out of desperation or boredom. It's because she sees something real. And that's a responsibility he doesn't take lightly. That kind of woman makes a man want to step up, not because she asked him to, but because being with her feels like an honor. When you hold high standards with softness, you create a safe and exciting space for love to grow. You're not trying to control the relationship, you're guiding it. You're not trying to earn someone's love. You're sharing yours with the right person who values it. You're not reacting to fear, you're responding to alignment. And that energy, that's what creates the kind of bond that lasts. So don't drop your standards to be chosen. And don't harden your heart just to protect them. Let your strength speak for itself in the way you move, the way you love, and the way you live. Let your kindness be a reflection of your self-worth, not a mask for people pleasing. The man who's meant for you won't be intimidated by your power. He'll be drawn to your light, and when he feels that beautiful mix of dignity and softness in you, he won't just be interested, he'll be addicted. The thing that keeps a man addicted to you forever isn't the big gestures, it's the consistent emotional experience he has every time he's around you. That experience is built through emotional connection, and emotional connection is built through presence. In a world full of distractions, superficial exchanges, and performance-based interactions, your presence becomes a rare gift. It's not about how much time you spend together, it's about how you make him feel in the moments you do. And when you're truly present with someone, when you listen, when you engage, when you connect without trying to fix or impress, you create something unforgettable. Most people think chemistry happens instantly or naturally, but lasting chemistry is something that's nurtured. It's in the little things, the way you look into his eyes without rushing, the way you respond with genuine interest when he speaks, the way you pause to hear what he's not saying as much as what he is. That attention, that intention makes him feel like he matters. And when a man feels like he matters to you, when he feels seen and heard and valued, That creates a pull he doesn't want to break. Presence means you're not always planning what to say next, you're not checking your phone, and you're not trying to be anyone but yourself. You're not proving anything. You're just there, fully. And that calm, grounded energy is soothing. It stands out because it's rare. Most people live in their heads. They're distracted by insecurities, rehearsing their next move, or preoccupied with past experience. But when you're grounded in the moment, you create space for real connection to unfold. This kind of connection creates emotional intimacy. And that's what leads to addiction, the healthy kind. Emotional intimacy isn't built through endless conversation. It's built through moments of realness. When you're able to say, I feel that too, or tell me more about what that meant to you, or even just hold a moment of silence without making it awkward, you're signaling that he can bring his authentic self to you. And when someone feels they can bring their real self without fear of judgment or pressure, they begin to open up in ways they don't even understand. That openness is addictive, not because you're manipulating anything, but because you're allowing space for depth. And depth is what people crave when they're tired of surface level connections. You're not trying to entertain him. You're allowing space for being, not just doing. You're not rushing into outcomes. You're allowing him to meet you in that middle ground of presence where real feelings start to grow. And here's the beautiful part. When you're present with someone, it also brings out the best in you. You stop overthinking. You stop trying to be perfect. You listen more, laugh more genuinely, and speak from your truth. You become more magnetic because you're relaxed in who you are. That kind of presence is powerful. It's not about being quiet or overly calm. It's about being fully there, emotionally and energetically. Men are drawn to that energy because it makes them feel understood. And when a man feels understood, he becomes emotionally attached. Not because you tried to win him over, but because you created space for him to feel safe being himself. That emotional safety, paired with curiosity, interest, and affection, forms a connection that doesn't fade when the newness wears off. It deepens over time. You also don't need to agree on everything to build emotional presence. In fact, it's in the differences that your connection can grow stronger. When you're present, you're not reacting defensively to every disagreement. You're listening to understand. You're not waiting to speak. You're actually hearing him. And he notices. He feels respected, even in disagreement. And respect is what keeps love alive. It's what makes a man not just want to be with you, but to keep being the kind of man who deserves you. Presence also shows up in your reactions. When something frustrating happens, whether it's a delay, a miscommunication, or an unmet expectation, the way you respond teaches him everything about your emotional availability. Do you panic, shut down, lash out, or withdraw? Or do you take a breath, stay grounded, and approach the moment with clarity? That doesn't mean you're always calm or emotionless. It means you're self-aware. You're able to sit with discomfort and still stay connected. That emotional resilience is deeply attractive because it shows you're not looking for perfection, you're looking for real connection. And that gives him the freedom to stop performing. He doesn't have to be flawless. He just has to be real. And when a man feels that from you, he doesn't want to lose it. Not because you're cool or chill, but because your emotional presence makes the relationship feel real, safe, strong. In a world where everyone's trying to get something, attention, validation, commitment, being someone who simply gives presence is transformative. It's healing, it's grounding, and it's something a man will keep coming back to because it makes his world better. It's not drama, it's not neediness, and it's not pressure. It's connection. And connection, real connection, is rare, which makes it unforgettable. So don't underestimate the power of simply being there, not physically, but emotionally. Show up with your eyes, your heart, your patience. Be curious about his world. Be responsive to his energy. Don't perform, just connect. Let him feel that with you, he's not another task to complete or a box to check off. Let him feel that being with you is different because it's real, it's grounded, and it feels like home. That's what makes him addicted. Not because you tried to be perfect, but because you gave him something real in a world full of noise. Your presence becomes his peace. Your connection becomes his craving. And your consistency becomes the quiet force that keeps pulling him back, not out of need, but out of genuine desire.